We're going to make sure Ukraine has the weapons to defend themselves from invading Russian force. But look, the idea that we're going to send in offensive equipment and have planes and tanks and trains going in with American pilots and American crews, just understand, and don't kid yourself, no matter what you all say, that's called World War III, okay? Let's get it straight here, guys. That old expression, don't kid a kidder.
President Biden promising to make sure Ukraine has weapons to defend itself, but not fighter jets. Reports are that Biden personally killed a plan for Poland to give MiG-29s to Ukraine, while his own VP is now calling Russia's vicious attacks on civilians war crimes. GOP senators are furious and demanding Biden start putting pressure on Putin.
I believe there's a sentiment that we're fearful about what Putin might do and what he might consider as an escalation. It's time for him to be fearful of what we might do.
We might as well call the commanding general at Fort Lewis outside Seattle and tell him to go take down the flag and surrender our position, because we will never stand up to Russia if every time Vladimir Putin says boo, we back down.
Okay, so let's start with the mix-up, all right, that Poland refuses to give the MiGs directly to Ukraine, and they want to send them to Germany so that we can give them to Ukraine. Blinken says we will, and then now the reports are that Biden said, no, we're not going to. If we're going to make sure Ukraine has weapons to defend itself, why not MiGs?
Illogical and weak, Judge. Let's deal with illogical first. Why is it, and I don't understand the red lines completely here, but why is it not crossing a red line to send man-pads or surface-to-air missiles or javelins, but somehow to offer up MiGs is beyond the pale? That would provoke Vladimir Putin. I don't understand that logic, especially when it's described to me as, look, they wouldn't be that effective anyway in helping the Ukrainians. If they're not that effective, why would it provoke Vladimir Putin? But now to weakness. I do agree with Mitt Romney and Tom Cotton. I think there is a very, very thin needle here that must be thread. I do respect the potential, as we all should, of nuclear escalation. But there's something, more than something, to be said for the way that President Trump handled his business with unpredictability, leaving your enemy wondering how you might react. It's clear this administration projects predictability, irrationality, and weakness. If we do this, we're worried you may do that, giving Vladimir Putin every opportunity to do whatever falls outside of those lines. We need to be more unpredictable, stronger, and more rational.
All right. Jesse, if U.S. backs off every time and signals it.
I agree with that. And now it's become partisan because you have 40 U.S. senators, Republicans, calling for these MiGs. And that's not how it should be. We should be united on this. And Putin sees that. He sees NATO split. He sees political splits here. And that wasn't good. We shouldn't have had this conversation out in the open like that. We were fine with the Poles transferring the jets. That was fine. We just didn't want to bring them off our air base in Germany, and the Germans didn't want it coming off the German air base. That was an escalation, in our opinion, and that's because we hadn't been giving them jets to begin with. We'd already been loading them up with javelins, and javelins cost $80,000. An old MiG, these are like $4.5 million. So in our estimation, that was a huge escalation. So the question is, if you give them the MiGs, and Russia escalates, we have to then escalate. Then you're on the escalator. That's the concern from the West, because right now, we're safe. Things are fine. This is a one-on-one. We don't need to make it a five-on-one. It's like when your buddy's buddy gets into a fight. It's not your buddy, but he's your buddy's buddy. So if your buddy jumps in, then you have to jump in. And so that's what we're trying to avoid right now. Excuse me?
You jump in with me if somebody was fighting me?
Well, you're my buddy.
Okay, so Dagan.
But not your buddy. I'm staying out of it until you jump in.
So, Dagan, if every time the U.S. backs off whenever Putin says, well, that is engaging in war, this is engaging in war, doesn't Putin then just continue to do what he's been doing for the past 20 years? He's committed war crimes before in Chechnya and in Syria. I mean, we're just giving him, he's the schoolyard bully, and nobody says anything.
Well, he's certainly shown so far that NATO has no teeth. Number one. Number two, to Will's point, why was all of this information being played out about the MiGs in public? So to all of the moronical liberal Trump haters and the never Trumpin' Republicans who said, we finally have an adult in charge. And this is what we get. We get Afghanistan and this, where they can't settle. The world should have found out that potentially jets wound up from Poland in Ukraine when some Russians got killed with them. That's how the world should have found out that we would have lost World War II if this is how strategy was conducted, with a megaphone over the radio.
No, the polls jammed us up a little, too.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, shows a weakness in Biden's ability to keep NATO together.
Right.
If some random EU diplomat can throw a MiG transfer under the bus, what else is he not in control of?
Right.
But, you know, the amazing part of this is the one thing that we're not hearing a lot about, Harold, is the fact that there seems to be some communications going on in Turkey behind the scenes with Sergei Lavrov, who's being personally sanctioned, but he's over there negotiating. What do you think's going on there?
I think potentially a lot. I think Jesse framed this exactly the right way. We can dislike and disagree with the president, but I think they've done a pretty doggone good job with a medium-sized hand, how they've played the hand out. If what Jesse said comes to fruition, the president believes and military advisors believe you could escalate to some place we don't want to be. Now, you got to balance that with, I don't always agree with the Cotton guy. I agree more with Romney on this than I do. Romney laid it out well, saying we have to, if he's escalating, how come we can't match the escalation? I think it's a legitimate question on the part of everyday Americans who wonder, with this incredible military, our incredible strength and our abilities, how come we're allowing this guy to move us around? And our president says, look, we got to keep NATO together. He's not moving us around as much as you think we are. We're winning more than we think. Furthermore, we got to balance this out. Now, I'm a believer we got to give them every other weapon we possibly can. I'm still a believer we ought to try to find some fighter jets. There's some Democrats who agree with those 40 Republicans who believe we ought to advance jets there. But we should not ignore the reality that if we do, and if they escalate and we escalate again, when does the escalation turn into a tactical light nuclear weapon being used?
Well, does it depend upon who's flying the jet?
Well, not. And so the idea behind it is if you give them the jets, they're going to fight and they're going to use the jets themselves. However, who knows?
Well, it might.
Who knows? I mean, I think that's the question, and I wish there's not a great neat answer to this, unfortunately.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.